let's begin tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching wherever. It may be tomorrow where you are. It's not yesterday. It has to be tomorrow. So it's tomorrow. We're yesterday. You're tomorrow. So wherever you are. Wow. We've been looking at Pilgrims to Jerusalem, and it's marvelous. We're gonna come to a famous incident in Jesus' life right here, and later on it's going to become more famous because he's going to go back to that same place one day and raise Lazarus from the dead. But for this particular time, we have this. It came to pass as they went into a certain village, a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. Now, this is a powerful scripture. She had a sister called Mary. There you go, the twins, Mary and Martha. Probably not twins. Martha was probably older than Mary because of the custom of the day, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. Okay, let's take a look at this. Now, let's find out where they are. This certain village is called Bethany. Bethany has a really interesting name. It means house of figs, which tells you there had to be figs in the area. But it also has like three other names that most people don't think about. It's called the house of the poor. So the area was poor. I guess the only livelihood there was the figs. They probably sold them. But it also means house of affliction. Wow. And it also means later, it means house of Lazarus. Okay? That's much later. So, house of figs, poor, affliction, and Lazarus. Wow. So that was that certain village. Now, we have a name there, and it's Martha, of course. Martha has an interesting name because I began to look that up. I said, there's got to be something significant here, what happened in the house. Her names mean Sir, S-I-R, / Lord. Sir / Lord, master and mistress. That's how come I know she's older than Mary. Okay? Now, the woman of the house, let's get some background here and see, Martha gets a bad rap in these passages. Martha didn't pay attention to, no, let's back off that because that's not true. The custom of the day in which they were in is that the Sir / Lord / master / mistress was the woman of the house. She was the oldest, and it fell upon her to do all of the preparation for any type of house guests. Okay? Martha has over the years gotten a bad rap in the Western thinking. Oh, Martha didn't pay attention. She was busy fiddling around. No. Now, let's remember something. Jesus and company is in her house. She has at least 13 men to feed that day. Huh? Why don't you whip home tomorrow and get ready in about an hour for 13 men to go into your house unexpected where you're required to feed them dinner. I'll wait. See? Think about it. All of a sudden, Myrna's going to do that tonight. Homer's. There was Domino's Pizza. No. A bag lunch from Wendy's. No. That tells you if you go over to Myrna's house, you're going to Homer's or Wendy's, and Dave's Domino's. Now listen, isn't this interesting? Now let's back off Martha a little bit. Let's just back off her, because I've heard so many negative sermons about her. They don't deal in the culture of the day. Somebody knocks on your door and goes, "Hi, we're spending the night with you. How many are there?" Well, there's 13 of us. Remember, 12 disciples and Jesus. There's 13 people to feed, let alone the normal group, let alone those that are hanging out with him and following him. She's got a church full at the house, and she got to feed them. So let's not give her a bad rap. Without what? Without notice. Without notice. No one said, by the way, let me text, and we're coming. They just show up, knock on the door, and go, hi, sundown, eat time, come on in. Huh? Now, so we're taking the pressure off Martha a little bit, okay? Now, she had a sister called Mary, who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. So here's what that sets up. See, more than likely, the rabbi sat on some kind of stool. They sat on, we would say a chair, but it's more likely a stool. And all the disciples would sit around at the feet, on the ground or on the floor or in the dust or something, at the feet of the rabbis, the teachers. And you can just imagine that. Jesus sitting there, and in a semicircle all around him are all these people. Now we got the 12, and now we got Martha cooking, Mary sitting there, and who knows how many's in the house. Where's Lazarus? Sitting at his feet too. Don't forget Lazarus. He's famous later on, but he was there too. Now think of this. Plus any other house guests that happened to you. Because if they knocked on the door, you fed them. And these houses were not, they were closets. Okay? They were goldfish bowls. You see some of them, a guy come in the back door and a guy come in the front door, they both hit each other. So here you go, they had courtyards and all. So Jesus sitting on the stool, okay? And the position of disciples was always at the foot and around the feet of the teacher. All right, we go sit down in chairs and whatnot. They sat in the dust. Okay, now let's set this up correctly. Now, with all this going on, we go to verse 40. Take a look at it. See, let's get a different perspective here. But Martha was cumbered about with much serving. Yeah. And came to him and said, Lord, does not thou care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Bid her, therefore, that she help me. Now, let me tell you something. That is a reasonable question. How many was she serving? Reasonable. Jesus, would you just help me in this? We'll never get it on the table here if I don't get some help from my sister. Wow. Bid her, therefore, that she help me. There's nothing wrong with this request. Wouldn't you, if you had that many people coming on you tomorrow, wouldn't you have said, help me, somebody, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Somebody in the family, help me here, do something right. Remember, men in that day did not do kitchen work. All right, they were out there. So there's no help from Lazarus or any man that's in the general neighborhood. It's all the ladies' work. That's why the ladies went and got water. Ladies carried the pitchers, no matter how heavy they were, to the wells and the streams to get the water. That was women's work. And that's why later it was so unusual when Jesus was setting up the Passover that a man was carrying a water jug. That was unheard of. Remember, Jesus said, you're going to see a guy with a water jug, water pot? Remember? It was unusual. Okay, just a little sidebar, help you along the way. Myrtle will speak that out in California in 2 weeks, and she'll be blessing everybody. Okay, now here's what happens here. Okay, watch this. Watch this. Jesus answered and said, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. Now, a lot of times you think, oh, he's rebuking her. No, he's not. He's setting priorities. He's not rebuking her for trying to fix dinner for this mob. Not at all. But one thing is needful, and Mary has chosen the good part, which shall not be taken away from her. Okay, let's talk about that. Because Jesus said, my teaching to Mary and the group is going to last longer than the meal that you're preparing. Because we'll eat tonight and tomorrow we'll have to eat again. So what I'm trying to say to you is that the main course for the evening is not the wonderful food you're preparing, but it's the words. It's the words on which I am speaking. That's why one place it says, for I love thy word more than my necessary food. So Jesus was just responding. There's a physical side of this and a spiritual side of this. The physical side was obvious, the cooking of a physical meal. The spiritual side of this was obvious as well, the spiritual words of Jesus. Famous passage of Scripture. Now, they spend some time there. They eat their meal. Probably had a good fellowship time. And then there's a turnover. Let's look at a turnover. It's found in John 7. Okay? Okay, now, here's what's going on. There's intimate danger. Jesus is in absolute danger. If there were road signs that you could put on the side of the roads, it would say, danger ahead. I want you to see this. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee. Now, why was he in danger? Well, here's why. Herod Antipas was still up trying to get even. Yep, we got a power of God operation. Trying to get even. Oh, this is going to all crank out, okay? You want to check your food, Margaret? Okay? All right. Every once in a while they do that just because Tim's here. They know, they see Tim, and Tim's got power of God, and they respond. All right? Now, the reason they were in dangerous territories, Herod Antipas was angry at Jesus about the John thing. Because remember about John being resurrected from the dead, and Jesus was that, and the people, turned against Antipas. Antipas was not happy with Jesus. We find that out really later. Then there's also the Pharisees. The Pharisees were always trying to discover something. Then you had their counterpart, the Sadducees. They were not happy either. And worse than that, you had the Sanhedrin priests of the law, and they were not happy either. Wow. Then you had all these fringe groups, and they weren't happy either. So at this point, nobody is happy with him. This is not a grand old time here. He was under considerable scrutiny and massive danger. So here's what has to happen. Jesus has to leave the whereabouts in Jerusalem. Where is Bethany? Bethany's about 1 to 3 miles outside of Jerusalem. It depends upon what measurement you want to take. 1 to 3 miles outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a hotbed against him. That's where, who hung out there? The Pharisees, the scribes, the Sanhedrin, right? The high priest, everybody's over there. So Jesus is right outside of town. And it's bubbling, because I want to put a timeline to you in a couple of minutes that I hope you see something here. Okay? So it's all bubbling. It's bubbling. The cauldron, we're stirring the pot. It's really going to stir when Jesus comes back and resurrects Lazarus from the dead in that same little town with the same group of people. It's really going to hit the fan. But here's what's happening. Jesus has to go north. And he has to get out of Jerusalem and Judea. He's got to get out of that part of Israel. He's got to head back toward the lake in Galilee. Must leave. for his own safety. He'll tell us why in a few minutes. Now, verse 2, the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. Notice what it says. He could not walk in Jewry because the Jews sought to kill him. So he's got to leave town. Got to go. So off he goes. He's heading north. He may have taken the ferry up the Jordan River. Who knows? But he's got to go north. And he's got to get out of Dodge quickly. You talk about leaving Dodge? Jerusalem's Dodge for him. He got to get out of town. They got to go. So right after this teaching with Mary and the dinner and everything, the fellowship, off they go. After these things. What things? What we just talked about. It was such a hotbed that it was dangerous for him. And I'll show it to you in a minute. Really dangerous. So he goes north to Galilee. Now, but here's the trouble. Tabernacles is coming. Tabernacles is one of the 3 feasts that every male had to go to Jerusalem. Pentecost, remember? Passover. Well, Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles in that calendar order. So Jesus was required, being a Jewish man, to go there. But he's heading the other way. He's going north. And he was only within just a few miles of Jerusalem. He's going north. Everybody else is going south. Think about it. He's going the wrong direction. He's going up the river, and everybody's coming down the river. Okay? And he had to go. He had to go to the feast. Had to happen. Had to happen. Now look at verse 3. His brethren, now this is really a twist. His brethren therefore said unto him. Now, that's not the disciples. That's Jesus' natural brothers. Being James, Joseph, Simon, and Jude. His brethren therefore said unto him. Now, so, which is really interesting. His brethren went from Nazareth upriver. Now they're in Galilee. Everybody's up by the lake. Capernaum, probably in the Capernaum area. That was his headquarters. He no longer hung out in Nazareth anymore. That was long gone. Okay? He's in Capernaum. So now his brothers probably got on the ferry and they went the other way. They got in the ferry and went up north, up to Galilee. So his brother, not the disciples, okay, said, depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples may see the works that thou doest. Now that says, oh, that's just wonderful. No, it's not. That's the worst thing that could happen. Oh, yeah, he's no. 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 Know what that was? That was his brothers being very angry at him, saying, we're tired of all this nonsense. Get home. We're working down here supporting this whole family of ours, and here you are running all over the towns and running all through this country with this group. That's what that was about. That is not positive. That's what that's about. Depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see the works that thou doest. Know what's happening? If that happens, he's going to get arrested by somebody. Herod Antipas guy, Herodians, Sanhedrin, that the whole group, the whole show, the Pharisees, the scribes, the whole show was waiting on him. Go put your act on down here. Trap. They were angry at him. You say, were they? Yeah, you'll see in a minute. They're not happy guys. Just a casual reading there, that brings the warm fuzzies. Okay? Because in John 6, the previous chapter, Jesus had lost most of his disciples. It was disaster incorporated. Oh, yeah. Read it. John 6, 60 through 66. Okay? All right? All right? Okay, I skipped one verse. Let me throw this in here. Here's the requirement. Exodus 23, 14, 7. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in a year. 3 times a year all the males shall appear before the Lord God. That's the requirement to go to Jerusalem. Okay? Now, this is unbelievable. John 6, he loses most of his followers. That's disaster. And 6D through 66 tells you why. Because in those little verses he said, I descended from on high. You descended upon on high. Wait a minute, Jesus, you're our brother. Descended from where? On high. Didn't look like on high you in the carpenter shop. Didn't look on high when you went to school. Didn't look on high then when you ran and played like the other kids in the street. Nazareth. High. You think the siblings accepted that? Hey, Simon. He's a lunatic. Remember I told you a long time ago they thought he was crazy? They thought he was absolutely insane. He's a lunatic. Our brother has blown not one fuse. Our brother has blown all of them. He's just blown it all. The guy needs psychiatric care. He's crazy. Because what he said, the people are saying, well, he's mad. He's out of his mind. And now he loses disciples because he said, I came from on high. And there's his siblings, his brothers that know him. And they say, he's lost. He's just crazy. Our elder brother is just absolutely needs to go to some kind of home. Wow. And you think they're going to acknowledge him? Okay, you're stretching and want to say something. That's those that became his disciples and left because he said, oh, you also go away. They were following him. And they gathered. Yeah, good question. They were gathered. Myrna said, were they the 12 disciples these people that gathered? Well, they were, anytime a rabbi gathered, they became disciples. See what I'm saying? Because will you also go away? That was the words of eternal life. Okay, you see what I'm saying? These were people they followed him everywhere, didn't they? I mean, back and forth, running around the coastlines. And they followed him everywhere. So he just lost his church. Okay? And he lost his brothers. Think about that. And eventually he's going to lose everybody. Right? You lose them all. They all flee. They all go away. They all run. They all run. Now, how can his brothers acknowledge him as a miracle worker? Well, there's something that happened a long time ago. Turning back years in this scout of Jesus. The water into wine miracle. Got that? The water into wine miracle took place at a relative's house. And it says that Jesus and his disciples were there, and Mary was there as well, which means the family was there. Remember? And we know a rabbi's job at a wedding was nothing. He had nothing to do with the wedding. He had nothing to do with the marriage. We know all about that. We really detailed that out, so we're not going to go there. So what was the job of a rabbi? The job of a rabbi was to tell stories, to dance, make everybody laugh, and make the bride happy. That was the role of a rabbi. The rabbi was the life of the party. It's amazing when I preach that message in congregations, they just look at me over the top of their glasses. That was a rabbi's job, be the life of the party. All have a good time, have a laugh and dance. So when the water to the wine incident happened, guess who was there? The brothers. And Mary, because Mary said, do what he says to you to do, and they knew where it was water and it was turned into the wine and went to the governor of the feast and then to the bride. So she was happy. That fulfilled Jesus' role as a rabbi at the party. Okay? So here's what happens. Here's what happens. They know about the water and the wine. They know it happened. They know very well it took place. But yet they could not grasp who their brother really was. Let's look at verse 7:4. For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. Let everybody know. Get on the grand stage. Rent Radio City Music Hall. Advertise them and bring them in by the thousands. Rent a big stadium. And have all the lights and all the puff and everything and advertise. Get on the grand stage. And everybody will be there. You ever notice something? Jesus never brought attention to himself. All the healings. He never brought attention to himself. He never brought attention in the public eye. He always kept in the shadows. That's something to think about today with our... You figure it out. Isn't that interesting? Jesus never said, me. Look at it, look. Jesus said, shh, go your way, sin no more. Shh. Go show yourself to the priest. Shh. Don't do that. Just be blessed. Go back home and be blessed. Don't tell anybody. Just keep it kind of between us. How many times that happened? Jesus would not put on a public spectacle because later, turn the page ahead, remember Herod said, I always wanted to see one of your miraculous miracles. Why don't you go ahead and do something for us? Remember? Yeah. When crucifixion on the night. Remember when they were trying him? Oh, I always wanted to see one of your big shows. Why don't you do something here? Why don't you do some kind of miracle here? Huh? Let me tell you something, church. The miraculous and the power of God and the presence of God and the glory for God is never a point of showing off. It is never a point of look at all this here. It's never a point of Barnum and Bailey. It's a point of ministry and be blessed and let God bless you and go your way. It's not let's flash the lights, let's ring the bells, and let's play the music, and let's have a big to-do. Never. The miraculous just doesn't operate like that. The miraculous operates quietly behind the scenes. The miraculous operates when a person's healed, when you pray for them over the telephone. The miraculous happens when God meets a need unexpectedly in an unusual way. That's how the miraculous happen. It doesn't happen in a big to-do. See? And that's what they wanted. And that's what the brothers wanted. Let's have a big to-do. So if there is no man that doeth anything in secret. Now that's the brothers talking. That's not Jesus talking. He himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. Let's put on a real carnival here. 5. For neither did his brethren believe in him. Whoa. Brethren didn't believe him. They didn't believe him. So they're asking him to go down back through Nazareth, Judea, and put on the Jesus and Brothers circus. And that's what they wanted. Let's step you out. Look at this cryptic reply, verse 6. Then Jesus said to them, my time is not yet come, but your time is already ready. 2 things. It's time for you to go to Jerusalem. Go to Jerusalem. You have to go. Your time is upon you. You go to Jerusalem. Get back on the boat and go down the Jordan and go to Jerusalem to the feast. See? But your time is already ready. See, that's what he's saying. He said, but my time has not yet come. It's not time for me to go down there. And I'm sure he's not going down there with the parades. The only parade he's going to get is when? Remember? Palm Sunday. And that's when the time was right. Wow. Look at verse 7. The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil. The reason is, I don't have any plans to travel with you. I am hated and I am hunted. And if I go with you, you'll be hated and hunted because you're part of me. So what Jesus was doing was protecting his family. They'd have put them on crosses too. He's protecting his family. You see, here's the time element. He's still 6 months away from the Passover. And that's the time. We are only 6 months from the crucifixion at this point. That's all. We've covered 3 years. Now, what's going to happen next 6 months will take us a long time to teach it. But we're only 6 months away from the crucifixion. That's how close we are. My time has not yet come. 9. When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. He didn't want to be on the bandwagon, because who knows what those brothers would have done. Hey, everybody, guess who are here? I've got Jesus coming for the parade. Look at him. See? Hey, look at now. Jesus is my brother. Yeah, right. So he said, they hate me and they hunt me. And if I associate with you in this grand parade, they'll hate you and hunt you. They're going to kill me and they will kill you as well. Okay? Here's a family. So Jesus was actually protecting them, and they did not know it. So off To Jerusalem they scurry, and they leave, and Jesus stays behind. Now verse 10. But when his brethren were gone up, he went up also unto the feast, not openly, but as it were in secret. Low profile. 8-day feasts. There's little booths or huts everywhere that you can see. Everybody comes in, they build these little tabernacles, these little booths. They're busy constructing these, and they're basically huts. They're basically shacks. They're portable housing made out of whatever's available. Palm leaves or this or that, just enough to stick your head under if it rains. You know what I'm saying? And get out of the night air or out of the sun. They're just little. They are homemade, badly constructed. It's only going to last 8 days. Shelters. That's all it is. Just shelters. It's booths. Okay? It's 8 days long. And they're camping out. Look at this. Then the Jews sought him at the feast and said, "Where is he?" Wow. He's camping out. Why are they seeking him? Because they want to arrest him. The high priest, the Sanhedrin, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the priests themselves, and everybody little brother with any type of authority wants to arrest him. And if he would have gone into that feast in a fanfare, the moment his sandals crossed the line, he'd have been immediately arrested by somebody. He knows it. That's why he sends them off. And so the Jews are saying, "Where is he? Where, you seen him?" And he's up in probably Mount of Olives. We'll show you that. He's in Mount of Olives, in and among the people, very quiet. Okay? Very quiet. Notice 12. And there was much murmuring among the people concerning him. For some said, "He's a good man." And others, "No. But he deceiveth the people." That deceiveth the people is a death sentence. It's a death sentence. There's division to this day, to this very second, as I look in this camera, this moment of who Jesus is. Total division. Total division. And by others said, "Nay, but he deceiveth the people." That is a death sentence. They're muttering and they're murmuring. The word murmur means to live down home in. Remember back in history where they murmured against Moses? It means camping out in negativism. It's called murmuring. Okay, it's that yakking all the time against somebody. It's called hoteling. And what happens is you say something and then you set up shop. You live there. You might as well check into a room and get comfortable because that's where you're staying. So when God help me. Turn the page here. Let me throw this out. If you hear people always yakking all the time about something they don't like in the church, it's called murmuring. It's called living in hotels. Maybe I'll help a pastor out there, somebody. It's called murmuring. It's living in, it's like saying, "I'm going to live in the Hilton in St. Petersburg and permanently move in the penthouse." It's like going and living in Trump Tower. I'm hanging out with Donald. It's like living in a White House. It's hanging out, not just kind of like a hotel guest where you check in today and spend a couple of days in your business, then you go back home or go to another destination. It's actually living there. As folks that just live there. And that's what's happening here. There was much people living there. There was much murmuring and muttering. But the death sentence was this one. "Nay, but he deceiveth the people. Because that goes back to Deuteronomy chapter 13. And it said, basically, whoever deceives the people is worthy to be killed. Wow. They're worthy to be killed. Jesus knew that. That's why he says, you go ahead. I'm not going. We're not going on the parade route. We're not doing an open thing here, because if they arrest me, they're going to kill all of you because you're family. Isn't Jesus your brother? Yes, you probably, you too. Jesus protected his whole family by not going. Wow. Because when they said he is deceiving the people, it kicks in Deuteronomy 13, which means that he is worthy of death. Wow. 7:13. Howbeit no man spake openly on him for fear of the Jews. Fear of the Jews. Now, what is really interesting is the Jews are saying this about the Jews because they're Jews themselves. There's no Gentiles here. Howbeit no Jew spoke openly of him for fear of the Jews. And what they're afraid of was political power. Remember, the high priests, the Sadducees, the lower ranking priests, the sages, the Sanhedrin, and throw in the Herodians, because that is way up there. Jews, kind of Jew, Gentile, Roman mix, and they're up with Antipas, and they don't like him either. Wow. 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 So what's going on is the stage is set for disaster. The stage is set for disaster. So Jesus gets out of town, and he goes into the Mount of Olives. That's where he stays. And what happens on the Mount of Olives, he eats and he fellowships, and there's much joy during the Feast of Tabernacles. Feast of Tabernacles, probably of all of the marvelous, tremendous feasts, it's probably the one that brings the most fun, the most fellowship. Wow, it is probably the one that really, goes over the top. Let's go to verse 14. Okay? Now, about the midst of the feast, Jesus went up into the temple and taught. Now, here's what's going on. Okay, let's go back down the hill, back toward the Mount of Olives, back into Jerusalem. At this point, during the course of the 8 days, 70 bullocks are sacrificed. So sacrifices are going up, and a lot of commentators says because there were 70 nations at the time. So there's 70 bullocks over the course of the 8 days are being offered on the altars. Now, this feast was so important, it had a special name. Besides Feast of Tabernacles or Feast of Booths, there's another name that this feast had. It was called the House of Outpouring. The House of Outpouring, or the House of Water Pouring. The House of Outpouring and the House of Water Pouring. And it was a marvelous time. I mean, you would see people you haven't seen for a while. There'd be people you'd run. Because remember, all Israel's there. They're all there. It's like a great general assembly of distant relatives and family friends, and on and on it goes. Now, we also know that it has an marvelous under it all symbolism called the outpouring of the Spirit. Okay? Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Water Pouring. piece of outflowing is dealing directly with the outpouring of the Spirit. And it's a season of tremendous rejoicing. Tremendous rejoicing. So Jesus, in the midst of the feast, which is probably around day 4, okay, 8 days, about day 4, he goes up to the temple and he teaches. He's qualified because he was a rabbi, but it also brings about some difficulty. Leviticus 23:40, ye shall take of you on the first day of the boughs of goodly trees, branches, palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. There's a 7-day feast, and I added the 8th day to it. Now, what were they so happy about? And what was they so excited about? And what were they supposed to be rejoicing about? We'll look at that next time in detail as we look at the house of pouring water. Heavenly Father, thank you that in the midst of it all, you were available. And God, you had perfect timing and perfect occasion to do what you did. And Lord, thank you today that we can live under that perfect timing in our lives. God, you always work and shall ever work on time within us. Father, the brothers were wrong. Later, they understood, and later they were converted. But at this moment in time, they just didn't know who their older brother really was. And they had trouble, and they struggled. Father, thank you, Father, for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit that we're going to talk about in detail next time. And as you rejoice then, and as Israel rejoiced then, we can rejoice in the Spirit now. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. God bless you. Have a great week, and see you next time.